And if you actually do it, whether that person or me becomes a client or not, I'll just be like, you know what, I really liked him. Like, he really kept his word. And that's so cool in a world where people don't. Hey, it's Lance McGowan here, and today I wanted to review a email conversation that I had from one of my enrollments of a new wellness advocate. And it's so important to be able to kind of have these conversations and keep the lines of communication open as well. And so, there's a lot of common questions and really good questions that come up. He'd actually found me on YouTube, watched my video, and enrolled with a kit after we kind of went back and forth and talked a little bit over email and had a phone conversation as well. So yeah, it was a really great opportunity to exchange value, right? And so after he enrolled, he had some questions. He said, I'm wondering about the comp plan a little. I definitely see great benefits of how it is set up. My only concern is that the comp plan, correct me if I'm wrong, discourages people from enrolling customers. From my research, it seems like enrolling a customer in the wrong spot could really be a setback in the long-term rank advancement. The reason this concerns me is because for such a product-focused business, I don't like the idea of worrying about anything but the customer's health, not if them joining will set me back in my rank advancements long-term. Looking forward to your thoughts on this. Thanks for reading. Alright, so then I responded back with, hello, someone can enroll as a wholesale customer and upgrade for free to a wellness advocate at any time they want to start doing the business part-time or full-time, and there's some additional placement strategy that goes along with that as well. And then I also added, once someone is a wellness advocate, their success in your organization will depend largely on their skills, goals, and effort in combination of the quality of their network as well as their lead generation strategy and follow-up game. And so that is kind of a lot of information packed into one little mini paragraph, but yeah, that is really important to keep in mind. Like, a lot of times people are like, man, my upline isn't supporting me, or man, nobody, everybody's already in it. When in reality, just in the US, there's 100 million people that could potentially become a customer wellness advocate. You only need about 1,000 or 2 of them strategically placed in your organization to hit, 6-figure earnings in doTERRA and hit, diamond rank. So it's really more about how you can basically, structure your organization and really work on these elements. I mean, these are key, and the people that have really talked to the most people see the most results, combined with having the right mindset, skill set, and tool set. I also add that it's hard to know what someone will do in your organization from a product use or business standpoint, and that is definitely true. There's people that are, excited on the front end, then fall off on the back end, and then there's people that pick it back up. There's people who, just become, users, and that's it. That's all they become, or they become just sharers, and sometimes they may dibble and dabble with the wellness advocate or builder aspect, and there's everyone in between. You got user and you got wellness advocate that is just actively teaching classes every week, and there's everyone in between, and that's fine. That's what makes the business the business. You have to just move towards people that move towards you, and really just talk to the next person if somebody isn't moving towards you, whether that's a customer, whether that's a wellness advocate, whether that's a prospect. And that is what helps you to make sure that you're always adding value, but also just, again, working with people that want to work with you. I also added, so the best mindset I found is to look at their actions in addition to their words/level of communication over time, and come to the conclusion slowly and hold on to them loosely, because you never know what could happen. That's right, people fall off, people come back, people stay on and don't fall off. Some people are like, I don't want to do the business, and then they change their mind later. Some people are, I don't want to do the business, and they never change their mind. So it's everything in between, and it's okay. That's part of dealing with unique and diverse individuals. You get a full spectrum of folks. It's just being able to understand that, I think, up front, and not trying to force somebody into a certain position or situation that they just aren't going to be open to. They need to have buy-in on their end, and they need to basically do it by their own free will after they've gotten enough education and right education to make that decision. All right. He then said, so if someone goes from customer to wellness advocate for free, are they then able to have people put under them without having to maintain the 100 PV? And if so, wouldn't they need 100 PV for the month to earn commissions, or is there any commissions they could earn? Thanks for reading. Okay, so we're kind of getting into the weeds here on compensation, how it works, but I responded back with, yes, they can still have people placed under them as a wellness advocate, but unless they, number one, place a 100 PV order, and 2, maintain 100 PV in their cart at all times as a placeholder in the month, then they won't get paid any commissions for enrollments or LRP orders. And then he said, so I love the fact that we're going back and forth, right? We're having a conversation. I've done a previous video of more of a wholesale customer where she was asking about what's the difference between LRP and one-time standard orders. And it's cool. People are just genuinely trying to seek understanding, and they're just like, hey, like, how do I get all these questions answered? And I love that. I love that. So let's continue. He says, let's say if one of my level 1 distributors was inactive in the comp plan and people I put under them were actively killing it. Would I earn commissions on the people who were under them, or no, since they are inactive? So this is kind of asking, like, you know, maybe somebody was excited to become a share or builder in the beginning, and whether they are not placing a 100-point order to qualify for their commissions or, you know, upline's commissions. What's going on? Like, how does that work with the people under them? Well, I said, good question. The short answer is yes, as long as you order 100 PV or point value and maintain in your cart as a placeholder that amount for the month, then you're all good. And I said the longer answer depends on who's the enroller, how long they've been inactive, that individual that's not doing the business anymore, and what rank they are, and if they are receiving the Power of 3 bonus, which I cover more in detail in my rank playlist below. So I do cover, you know, a little bit of that right there. So boom. So I do have a rank playlist that kind of talks more about that in detail. So he had already gotten a kit. So basically these are like conversations that I cover in my training. So first there's a natural solutions class, then there's a wellness consult after you get a kit, which these are all PDFs, by the way, and phone conversations. And then there's a share guide, there's a build guide, and there's a launch guide, and then there's further education depending on what you want to do. So lots of free and complimentary education, just an interaction based on what your goals are and what your needs are. He then said, so he's providing some what-if scenarios. So again, I love all the questions. It's good. It's great. He says, let's say I enrolled 4 customers who don't want to be wellness advocates. Would the first 3 fall on my front line automatically? And then he said, and then if so, what would happen to the 4th customer? Since I have no one to put them under, would they not count as my referral? Or how does that work? If your level 1 front line is full of customers and you have nowhere to place anyone. So these are kind of more placement strategy questions as well. He then goes on, he sent another email. The part I don't understand is, so doTERRA is most product-based MLM I've ever seen. If 80% of the members are customers, which is, yeah, roughly, it just kind of depends what stats you're looking at, but yeah, and 20% distributors, normally this is a great sign to me. That's right, it means that people use and value the products, which means that people will continue to use and value the products by and large, which is what you want, especially when you're developing a business that has quality products, right? Okay, so that's awesome. So the reason this concerns me is because of the comp plan. If there is such a high ratio of customers to distributors, which I think is beautiful and the sign of a truly quality company, absolutely, then wouldn't many people have no opportunity to reach ranks because the customers in their own downline aren't able to build or be built for? It seems like the comp plan discourages enrolling customers. The comp plan supports you building your front line with wellness advocates and then placing customers under them, as well as when people step up and raise their hand, want to become wellness advocates, building wellness advocates under them. But there is a strategy to all that to make sure you're kind of optimizing. But at the same time, you don't know what people are going to do, so that's kind of like you kind of have in what doTERRA has in their comp plan of what's optimal from a compensation and rank standpoint. Then you have what you want to do based on what's coming in the door and what's coming out the door, and then you have what people that are doing or not doing, whether you know it or not. So there's a lot of unknowns, but you can only, that's why a lot of it is a momentum type of game, and it is a numbers game. We don't treat people like numbers, but it is a numbers game in the sense that it does take talking to a lot of people to kind of figure out where everything shakes out after you strategically place people to maximize your rank, your earnings, but also obviously help them out with kits and products and stuff like that. And so we're talking more in the context of like the building side. But yes, there is a lot of strategy involved to make sure you're optimizing, again, rank and earnings. But again, like I said, you don't know what people are going to do. So you could have the best strategy and doTERRA's comp plan is solid, but you don't know what people are going to do. That's the third, leg of the table. So he says, as then places pressure on the enroller to not enroll people who aren't willing to give up their social security number. So yeah, you give your social security number when you become a wellness advocate to make sure you qualify for commissions, and so that for tax purposes as well. And he says, this just seems like a bad vibe. The last thing I would want to do is pester a happy customer because the way they are purchasing isn't benefiting me. I do care about other people, don't get me wrong, but at the same time, I'm a businessman. That's right, I'm a businessman too. And he says, I'm not going to fight an uphill battle unnecessarily. Honestly, I'm confused about the comp plan. I appreciate that. I appreciate that honesty. He says, I dig the ascending percents to promote teamwork. Yeah, that's the unilevel, which I have other videos on. So there you go. And he says, I just don't understand why it's so convoluted and set up to discourage enrolling customers. It's not. It's just, I think this is why maybe phone conversations help a little bit more, and visuals with the PDFs. But it's cool. He's ahead of the game. Like, he's asking really good questions before all that training has happening. So yeah, but we end up resolving this. But it's cool. I'm just kind of giving you a recap anyway. But he says, I suppose one way to do it is to not allow customers on your downline. That way you never get stuck. But this seems so bass-ackwards to consider something like that in an MLM, especially one with the best products in the game. Yeah. Okay. He then follows up again. It says, one more question. I love all the emails. I love it. Love it. He says, if someone joins as a retail customer, do they fall into your unilevel structure? They actually fall on your front line. And then he says, or just count for the retail commissions and not affect structure. Yeah, I mean, they can upgrade from retail to wholesale customer, or they can go from retail to wellness advocate, or they can go from wholesale customer to wellness advocate. So yeah, those are, you can upgrade your account basically if you do want to share or build in the future. He then says, thanks, sorry for the back block of text. The reason I'm so hyper-focused on the compensation plan is because the compensation plan is secondary to products to me. That may sound backwards, but what I mean is I want to understand the comp plan well enough that I don't have to worry about it so much and can just focus on helping people. Absolutely, yeah. I mean, the comp plan does have a lot of elements to it, but once you understand it, yeah, you can strategically start to basically place people based on what's going to help your rank and income, but also help them as well depending on what they want to do, right? That's why understanding needs and goals of customers as well as advocates that join in your organization are so important. But here we go. He says, I want to understand it well enough before I start building so I don't risk making too many mistakes with my organization. Yeah, like I said, you got the doTERRA comp plan. That's kind of the static or solid thing that's just there. You have your strategy for placement, right, to optimize rank and earnings and to help people, right? And then you have what the other person is going to say and do that is a wholesale customer, prospect, or wellness advocate. Obviously, when they turn into from a prospect to a wholesale customer or wellness advocate, then it's basically like understanding what their needs and goals are. Do they just want to use the products at a discount? Do they want to do the business in such a way where they earn their products for free, they earn part-time or full-time income now or in the future? What about, so you kind of a timing element. And then what if they say that, but then they change their mind later on? So it's understanding all of that and being able to be flexible with them, understanding what their needs and goals are, again, and then also being able to help other people strategically as they join your organization. When I say strategically, I mean like from a placement standpoint. So that is going to be key as well. All right, he says, I think it makes more sense to me now, though, if the retail customers don't go in the placements, then that would make me feel a lot better about it. They just go on your front line. Yep. Because then I would enroll customers and earn commissions without messing with my structure or committing someone to a spot they don't fit in for long term. Thanks for reading. Yep. I basically said, this is what I cover during the phone conversations and formal trainings. And the rank advancement process is simple, but it's not always easy because, again, there's a lot of factors that are, not a lot, but the other factor that's not in our control is what other people say and do that are wholesale customers and wellness advocates. So we can only go off of what they say and what they do. So it's nice to know what their needs and goals are, and if there's that conversation, because then it's like, okay, you want to just be a customer. Perfect. So let's now, and on my end, I can place you based on that. If you want to do the business part-time, full-time, or earn the products for free, then that is a different approach on where I place you sometimes, or sometimes it's the same. But it's important for me to know that up front, and that is going to affect placement strategy. All right, but again, what somebody else says and does is outside of my control. So that's the element. So that's why it's so important to know, again, needs and goals. I sound like a broken record, but that's... He says, gotcha, and then I said, when your order comes in, let me know, and we'll schedule a call to go over all your questions. I've answered them in my head, but the real-time interaction is better for these. If you need to write them down, then do that, and we can knock them all out on the call. Yep, so we did cover actually a lot on that call, in that wellness consult, and although it was just primarily for, helping to develop a wellness lifestyle, understand how to use the products, the benefits, and really maximize the membership, he is, a builder, he is a wellness advocate, so it's important for me to basically, for us to really just have those conversations and, get all those questions answered so that he can, move forward. He says, okay, perfect. One positive note, I definitely like how Level 7 gets the highest percent, so that's the unilevel structure with how many levels down. So doTERRA comp plan video really drove that point home for me with the visual. That is clear, huge benefit to the comp plan, absolutely. And then I said, awesome, it's all about finding the right 3 wellness advocates who want to do the business in the beginning and working towards elite rank until you do. So that's kind of like the summary of all those emails and conversations, but I just want to show that like it's cool when people ask questions and they seek understanding, and he's really open to like watching videos of mine, others, doTERRA's, and really just seeking understanding, and I really appreciate that. I mean, that is something that I try to do a lot of as well. Like, if I don't know something, I'll say I don't know. Like, I'm not gonna just, because I went to another networking event. It was with another network marketing company. Because I just one of my uplines, she's looking at some of the products because they offer some complimentary products. But I actually go to other network marketing meetings and MLM meetings for other companies just to kind of see what they say and what they do. Because I want to make sure that the gap is pretty tight. But yeah, I mean, I remember asking another guy about what was one of the ingredients in his products, and he was, I think, a higher level up in the organization in the MLM company, and he was basically just kind of like, actually one of the other distributors like brought me to them because they really wanted me to meet him, but the higher up guy was, after I asked my question about where does that ingredient sourced from, he was like, it's pretty complicated. There's a lot of things involved. Let me, I'll let you know later. Or, I'll message you. And there was no exchange of information. He was just basically kind of like over-promising and under-delivering, and he didn't really like answer my question or have a way to relay that back to me. So I think the learning from that is you don't want to over-promise and under-deliver. Like, just keep it real. Like, if you don't know, you can say you don't know, or like, hey, like, what's your number? I can text you that information after this. Let me just make a note. Like that would, I would respect somebody a lot more if they said that instead of just saying, it's pretty complicated, and I'll let you know, or I'll message you, and then not exchange information. You know what I mean? Like, I know it sounds not like a big deal, but for me, it's again what you say and what you do. The smaller the gap, the more the trust, right? If you say you're going to message me, then do it. Boom, gap closed, trust built, right? If you're not going to do it, boom, gap closed, trust built, because you just communicated that. Yes, that's a less favorable outcome, but at least the trust is being built a little bit, not a whole bunch, if you aren't able to do that. But yeah, I mean, that's all about, it's just like, don't agree to something that you're not going to do, right? Like, I don't know, that's something I just try to do, is just like, be a person of your word. Right? I mean, if you say you're going to do something, do it. If you can't do it, then say you can't do it, and then reschedule, or have a counter offer, or try to negotiate in a way that's a win-win, or work something out. Be solution oriented. Like, there's so much that we can do to make sure that we're building value in our relationships and not just like saying things just to get people off our back. Like, I think that is the main key. Like, don't just say something to get somebody off your back. Like, keep it real, like respectful. That's what I try to do. Brutally honest, exceedingly kind. Like, hey, I don't know. What's your number? Let me write it down. I'll text you once I get back home or something. Boom. And if you actually do it, whether that person or me becomes a client or not, I'll just be like, you know what? I really liked him. Like, he really kept his word, and that's so cool in a world where people don't. Like, oh gosh. Or hey, he wasn't able to keep his word. Maybe he's still researching. He could have texted me like, hey, I'm still researching it, give me a few days, and I'd be like, oh, cool, great, thanks. And then if he followed up and be like, wow, like, honestly, that would make me move towards him and be like, wow, he didn't have the answer at the time where I talked to him, and then he didn't have the answer the second time we talked, but he got back to me. And that's what I tried to do in my previous employer, and that's what the people that I manage really valued about me. They're like, wow, you actually get back with me, or you give me a time frame of when you'll get back with me if it's not immediate or today or whenever. And I try to do that with the people that I manage and the people that are customers and clients. It's hard to do that with everyone else that's not. That's why it's like, hey, like, watch my videos, or like if you become a customer or client or business builder, then it becomes a better win-win solution that we can do life together in your wellness journey and mine. So it keeps communication more seamless, more transparent, more more timely. So let's do that, right? Let's do life together, basically. If not, you got my videos, and that's it. So there you go. Like, awesome. Anyways, that concludes today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to hit the like button, hit subscribe for future video updates if you haven't already done so, and check out the links in the description below so you can continue to get your learn on, and I'll see you in the next video.